Okay. Exam 1. Review. Let's just go through every section and I remember what we talked about and do some examples, okay? So 5.1, the main thing I'm looking for. Question 1 is be able to convert angles. So convert the following to radians or degrees. Then determine what quadrant it's in. So you'll convert it and then tell me it's in quadrant 2 or whatever. Okay. So part A. Negative pi over 3. Convert that into radians. It didn't mention anything about coterminal, so just leave it as negative. So negative pi over 3 times the conversion factor of 180 degrees over pi. So that would become negative pi 180 over 3 pi. Pi's cancel. 180 divided by 3 would be 60 degrees. Okay, so if I want to go to degrees, you want to put the pi at the bottom, cancel the pi's, right? Once you do that, you get our angle. Where is negative 60? Yeah, this is quadrant 4. Excuse me. Part B. Any questions on part A? Three pi over 4. We will multiply this guy by the same conversion factor, 180 degrees over pi. So the pi will cancel again, and then you'll just reduce your fraction. That's it. So we'll get 3 pi times 180 over 4 pi. So these pi's will cancel, and we end up with 3 times 180 over 4. Does 4 go into 180? I believe so, right? 45 degrees, correct? So it'll be 3 times 45. 3 times 45. What's that? 135? Is that right? Okay, so we're at 135. What quadrant is 135? Yeah, 2, because 180 is right at the end of quadrant 2. So before 180, past 90, has to be 2. And if you don't know, look at the circle and just find out just about where is it. Okay. Okay. I'll do 2 more and I'll leave the rest to you to practice. This one was from the homework. They just give you a number. What do you assume? Is it degrees or radians? Yeah, there's no degree symbol, right? So assume radians automatically. Even though there's no pi, you don't have to have a pi to be radians. Okay. There's no degrees, so it's assumed. If this is an angle, it is radians. You'll take the 5 and multiply by 180 over pi. So this becomes 5 times 180, whatever that is. What's that going to be? $905?
900 over 5.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that's true. So at this point, that's all you can really do. Unless you change it into decimal. So it's still a weird number. So if you divide it by pi, oops. The approximation would be 286.48 degrees. Okay. I mean, I'll take either one, but doesn't matter. What matters is, did you show the word to convert? That's it. All right. Any questions on A, B, or C? Okay, let me know. Find the coterminal. Let's do another question. Angle for the following and determine the quadrant. All right, first one. 714 degrees. So it's larger than 360. So you gotta just keep subtracting 360, right? So 714. Or is there no glare? Subtract 360. One time and we're below 360. So one time gets us to 354. This would be your coterminal angle. And what quadrant would that be? Yeah, it's gonna be 4. As soon as you're below 360, you just stop. Okay. Any question on part A? If it's in radians, you should convert it first to C. Like for example, I guess I can just give you one. Let's say it was. Let me make one up. 1 second. Say they gave you 5 pi over 2. Can you tell by looking at it that we are beyond 360, beyond 2 pi? And if you can, well, plug it in your calculator and determine, right? 2 pi is about 6.28, 5 pi over 2, 7.85. So we're beyond 360, right? So subtract 2 pi. Just like before, factor 60, you're gonna subtract 2 pi. Or you can convert it if you want to, and just subtract 360. You can always do that anytime. It's up to you. I'm choosing to leave it as is. You make your own choice on your exam. Subtract 2 pi will require you to do fractions. Okay. So this would be an LCD of 2. So this one will need 2 over 2 on the 2 pi to get to 5 pi over 2 minus 4, oops, minus yeah, I'm sorry. For a second, I was like, why is that 8? It's not 8, it's 4. Know what I was talking about. All right, so 5 minus 4 gives you a single pi. So this would be our answer. If the answer lies on a axis, we just say it's on the y-axis. It's not on a quadrant, right? Pi over 2 is 90 degrees. It's right at the top.
So I did it by converting the degrees first, and then I got 450 degrees. So then would I have to subtract 360 from that?
Yeah. So that would be the other way. So instead of 2 pi, you would subtract 360 from the one you find. You should get 90.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions on A or B? Is that okay? All right. I'm gonna do a couple more and then we'll move on to something else.
Like in a question like that, I'm more comfortable converting it to degrees. If you want, like, since it's 90, you want me to put 90 or if you want to put 5?
It's fine as long as you show that you converted the angle. It's okay. You leave it that way. All right, I'm gonna turn the page. You guys okay? All right, so let me know. Number 2. Continued, I guess. We're on part C. So find coterminal angle. If it's negatives, you're gonna add 360, right? This is, they have to tell you degrees or radians. So just keep adding until we're no longer negative. That's it. So negative 698 plus 360 plus 360. So no longer negative, I'm at 22. So negative 698 plus 360 So this would be our coterminal angle in quadrant 1. Okay. That's pretty much all I'm gonna ask from 5.1 is, can you convert? Can you find coterminal, whether it's positive, negative, radians, or degrees? Okay, you guys have any questions on those ideas? Seem doable? All right, let's move on then. Just let me know. Five point two is when we start talking about unit circle, so sine and cosine. And finding the values. So since find the value on a circle is, relatively easy, what I'm gonna do is have you find the coterminal angle first and then find the value. So that way it combines on the exam. To make it shorter, I'm gonna combine the idea from 5.1 and 5.2 at the same time. So number 1, find the exact value. So if you see this on the exam, no decimals. Sine of 7 pi over 3. So that's now in the circle. So you'll have to adjust. So find the coterminal and then find that value on the circle. That's it. Okay, so let's do the work over here somewhere. All right, so 7 pi over 3 is bigger than 360 or 2 pi. So minus your 2 pi. If you want to convert and then subtract 360, that's up to you. 7 pi thirds minus 2 pi, that would be 2 pi times 3 over 3, which would be minus 6 pi over 3. So this is the angle we will look up. So change this into sine of pi thirds. This is an angle that you should easily find. Okay. So do the coterminal somewhere on the side and then just plug that in. So what is sine of pi thirds? Yeah. So screw root 3 over 2. That's our exact answer. We got it off the circle. Right. If you punch this into your calculator, any of these two, you're gonna get some weird decimal. Okay, so use your circle. All right. So if part B was cosine of 7 pi thirds, that would be the same as cosine at pi thirds. What would the cosine be? Yeah, it'd be 1/2. All right. What about tangent of 7 pi thirds? Right, tangent means you do sine over cosine, so you divide these answers, right? So take the sine first and divide it by the cosine. So that will give us this guy, which then cancels into just root 3. And write that a little prettier. Here we go. Any questions on A, B, or C? So if I told you find all six trig functions here, would you be able to do it? Right, secant, cosecant, cotangent. That's the other, right? Okay, let's move on to something else then. There was something similar. Let's see. I'll just do the first few. Find the exact value. At all, sorry. At the angle of 1290 draw six trig functions. So this is probably how I'm going to word 1 and 2 will be this is the same question. I'll probably word it this way. Give you a random angle, find all six, but that angle might require you to find coterminal first. Okay. So what we can do is start with the angle. And though, let me phrase this better. The coterminal angle of 1290 is, right? I can't just say 1290 equals another angle, you know, it's kind of weird. So minus 360 is 210 degrees, right? So what we're gonna do is find sine of 210, cosine of 210, tangent 210. Start with those three. What is sine of 210? Negative? A -1/2. That's quadrant 3, right? So if we're in quadrant 3, then both are negative. What is cosine? If both are negative, what does that mean for tangent? Right, because you gotta divide these to get tan. If you divide a negative by a negative, what happens? So tangent must be positive. So go ahead and do the same thing we did up here. So -1/2 divided by -√3/2. So negative is gone. You're going to get 1/2 times 2/√3. These cancel. So this will be 1/√3. Rationalize. That'll give us √3/3. If you didn't rationalize, I'm not going to take points off. Yeah, I mean, we only have so much time. So let stuff like that slide. Any questions on sine, cosine, tangent? Okay. What would be cosecant? It's just a reciprocal of sine, correct? Just flip this guy over. Be negative 2/1, which is 2. Secant. Flip this one over. So tangent. I'm not going to rationalize because I'm out of space. You just take these solutions and flip them over. That's it. Take the reciprocal. Guess cool on 1 and 2 for 5.2. One last thing for 5.2 is reference angles. So first main part, find the 6 trig functions at a random angle that may require coterminal. The next part is reference. You guys cool on this page? There is no rush. Okay, so far, no, doesn't feel too bad. All right. I'm gonna assume it's super easy and you're all gonna get A's. So that's what I'm hoping.
How many questions is there?
I'll probably keep it around 10. Find the reference angles of the following. All right. I'll just write them all up here. All right. So we had 4 rules for reference. You remember? If you don't, have that on your formula sheet. It said if it all depends on the quadrant. Where is 195 at? Yeah, quadrant 3. So if we're in quadrant 3, reference angle is 195 minus 180. So that gives me 15 degrees. This is the rule for quadrant 3. So 15 is our answer. Part B. Reference angle is, okay, so 298 is in which quadrant? That's in quadrant 4. If it's in quadrant 4, you subtract from 360. Okay. So you take 360 minus 298. So that'll be what? 62. $62 is your reference angle. C. negative 212, well, we gotta fix that negative. So find the coterminal first, and then follow the 4 rules. So coterminal is, so just take negative 212 and add 360. $148. So where is 148? So quadrant 2, so we'll use the rule for quadrant 2. So reference is, the rule is for quadrant 2, subtract from 180. So this is our answer. So far, is that okay for A, B, and C? $431, you gotta do the same thing. Find coterminal and then decide where it's at. So coterminal for 431 is something. 71. Okay, thank you. So 71 is in quadrant. Which quadrant? Yeah, if it's on the first one, that's the best one, right? You just write the same thing. So reference angle would be equal to 71. Nothing to do. And I gave you these rules in your notes. They're better written in the notes. Yeah, look at the end of 5.2. You should see them, or your book. Any questions on 5.2? That's all I'm going to ask is, can you find values in the circle, no matter what the angle I give you? And can you find reference angles for any angle? It's 2 main things. .3, I mean, honestly, we kind of already talked about it. At least the first part. Because on 5.2, they only do sine, cosine, and that's it. But I did all 6. So that means, so the other chunk would be here. So I'm going to skip this first one. I'll let you practice it. Find the exact value of all 6 trig functions. I forgot the other one was only sine and cosine. At negative 5 pi over 6. So you would find the coterminal and then just plug it in, right? That's it. Use your circle. So I'm going to move on. Find the exact value of all 6 trig functions given that cosine theta is equal to 5/13 and theta is between 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi. The first thing you gotta know is, what does this mean? What quadrant does this mean? 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi. Yeah, that's quadrant 4. Okay. It's just a weird way to say quadrant 4. That's all that is, from here to here. Right? In quadrant 4, sine is negative, cosine is positive. So find sine and cosine. You can use the formula or you can draw the triangle from 5-4, doesn't matter. In 5.3 though, we only have the formula. So use as sine squared theta plus cosine squared. Theta is equal to 1. Plug in your cosine, solve for sine. That's all you gotta do. So I'm gonna plug in cosine. Subtract that 5/13 over. Which is the same as, what is that, 25. Over 169, right? Solve for sine. Which is equal to 1 minus this. 144. I'm skipping the fraction step because I'm running out of space. So this means that sine theta would equal plus or minus the square root of 144 over 169. Right? You'd have to square root both sides to solve for sine. Once you've done that, you'll get plus or minus 12 over 13. I skipped some steps here, but you see what I'm doing, right? We're just on for sine. That's it. Plug in cosine, back this over, screw in both sides. It over, screw to this side. Need an LC of 169. 169 over 169 minus 25 and 140. You can do that on your calculator if you want to. Do I choose the plus or the minus though? It has to be the minus because we are here. So that's why it's important to know where you're at. Okay. So this is negative 12/13. Cosine is given to us. Tangent would be, what would tangent be? Be negative for sure. Right, sine over cosine, if you divide these, the fractions will, the denominators will cancel, leaving you with 12/5. It's running out of space, so I skipped the fraction step. You guys cool with these 3 solutions? That makes sense? Do you see where they came from? So if we have those, cosecant would be just the reciprocal. Secant would be the reciprocal of this guy. Cotangent would be the reciprocal of this here. That's pretty much it for 5-3. So plenty of time, that's good. Okay, so no questions on 5.3. Does it make more sense the second time around? My professor used to tell me that you learn math in a spiral. So each time you go around, the spiral gets bigger. So you gotta keep revisiting. The first time I see any math topic makes no sense to me. Just like super confused and lost. I felt that way in every math class I've ever taken, and I've taken quite a few. Quite a few.
You got 124 because you subtracted 160.
Yes. Yes. So don't feel bad if you feel lost. Okay. Just gotta practice and it'll start to make sense after a while. All right, so in 5.4, it's similar stuff, but you use the triangle. You can use the triangle anytime you want. You could have used it in the last example if you felt like it. I personally prefer it, but it's up to you. Let's pick one from the homework here. This one seems chill, I guess. All right, so we have this in the homework. They said this was 10, 6, 8. Find the exact value. Part A, sine theta is equal to. So here's theta. What would sine be equal to? Yeah, 6/10, which reduces to what? 2/5. Here's my answer. Okay. What is cosine? Oh, it is. Mhm. Thank you. 3/5. All right, what about cosine of theta? Theta's here. Adjacent over hypotenuse. So make sure in your exam that you reduce these. You'll get 4/5. Tangent of theta. It's opposite over adjacent, right? So 6/8, yeah. Which reduces to okay. Part D, what is sine of phi? He's up here. So now opposite is down here, right? 8/10. So the hypotenuse won't change, it's just the other stuff that changes. This becomes 4/5. Okay. Cosine of phi. So adjacent is now the 6. adjacent over hypotenuse becomes 3/5. Finally, F tangent of phi. Yeah. 8/6, which is yeah. So you will have something like this as well. But it's not too bad, right? All right. Any questions on number 1? Do you see where these values are coming from? If not, please let me know. All right, let's do number 2 then. You guys cool on that page? All right. 2, 5.2. The next question, we're going to be solving a triangle. Solve the given triangle. A really ugly looking triangle. So C is the 90-degree corner. A and B is up here. The only thing they gave us was 12. The side here, 12, and this angle. And this angle. So start by labeling all your stuff. Capital A is 36. Capital B is 54. What is capital C?
Okay.
Has to be 90, right? It's the corner. Now, the lowercase letters are the ones opposite to these angles. So what is opposite to little a? Or sorry, big A? Yeah, so that'll be lowercase a. Lowercase b, the opposite to capital B, we don't have it. Lowercase c is the hypotenuse, I don't have it. My C's look the same, so make a note of that on your paper. I'm sure you write better than I do, so just capital C, lowercase. All right. So solve your missing sides. You know what? Let's make this a little more interesting. Let's pretend we didn't know what B was. Because I'm not going to give you A and B. I'm only going to give you A or B. Let's pretend it's missing. Step 1, solve for capital B. So how would you find it if it was gone? Yeah, so since we have the other two, just subtract, right? Do you remember? So take 180 degrees. Well, let's make a little note here. Capital B is equal to 180 minus the other two. So that will become the 54 that I had earlier. I'm going to box the ones that were not given, so I know. Okay. Once you have that, use your trig functions to find a B and C. So if I want to find the little b, man, smeared it. Choose an angle and a trig function. Set it up to find B. Okay. So it's up to you. What angle would you choose and what trig function would you choose? B is right here, right? Or case B. I'm not going to tell you on the test, you got to be able to choose. Think about it. Whatever you choose sets up the question, and then you solve for whatever's in question. Some are better than other choices, but most of them are not wrong answers or wrong decisions. It'll still work out if you do the math. You choose a crappy setup, and you'll get extra steps, but it'll still work out. Okay, there's only one option that will not work. Everything else will work.
P10.
Cosine 10 is a good one. Cosine would, well, first you gotta choose the angle. Which angle? A or capital B? I do capital B. Okay, so if we choose capital B, then we choose a trig function. If we do tangent, that would be B over 12, right? If I choose cosine, that would be this one over that one, if I'm over here, if I'm using B. So tangent would be the best choice if I'm using capital B. So tangent of 54 degrees would be equal to little b over 12. So at this point, just solve for B. You do cross multiply or whatever the heck you want to do. Just solve for B. I don't care how you do it. As long as it's legit, it'll be fine. Okay. All right, so algebra step, multiply 12 on both sides. So little b is equal to 10 of, 12 times tangent of 54. What is that? $54 is not an exact angle, right? Not on the circle. So 12, 10, 54. Am I in degrees? I don't know. Nope. $16.52. We're on the 2 decimal places because I don't know why. They didn't tell us. I'm choosing to. Okay. So we found little b. Any questions on that step 2? So you can do the same thing for little c. You could use Pythagorean if you want to, because we are working on right triangles. Once we leave right triangles, you can't do it anymore. You'll have to do it this way. Okay. or another way, which we'll talk about in chapter 8. But let's do it this way for the practice, okay? Because I am assuming you've all done Pythagorean a ton of times, right? So choose an angle. And a trig function. Set up the problem. What should we choose? You can choose any angle as long as it can, and any function, as long as it contains C, you're good.
Sin.
Sign?
I'm sorry.
All right, good. Yeah, if we do sine of let's say 36, we'll end up this will end up being equal to 12 over C. So since C's on the bottom, we'll have to do an extra step, which is okay. Who cares? I'm gonna take the reciprocal of both sides and move it over here. Is that okay? Is that weird? Yeah, that is weird. It's wrong, actually. Yeah, let me not skip too many steps, just in case. Take the reciprocal of both sides, meaning flip them over. Or you could do cross multiplication if you want. I don't care. Multiply both sides by 12. So 12's cancel, right? C is equal to 12 over sine 36. What is that? 20.42. Any questions on number 2? You're comfortable choosing the trig function and choosing an angle? You're comfortable solving for any side? Okay. Let's do one. We're low on time now, but let's see if we can do this question here. You guys cool with turning the page? Is it fine? Okay. Let me know. Last problem for 5.4. Find the height of the flagpole. Okay, a little wordy. From a point on the ground, (500 feet) from the base of a building. an observer finds the angle of elevation to the top of the building to be 24 degrees. And the angle of elevation to the top of the flagpole on the building to be 27 degrees. Okay. Find the height of the flagpole. So that'll, yeah. I'll read it one more time. From a point on the ground 500 feet from the base of a building, an observer finds an angle of elevation to the top of the building to be 24 degrees, and the angle of elevation to the top of the flagpole on the building to be 27 degrees. Find the height of the flagpole. Okay, so you have to draw it out because a lot to visualize in your head, right? So let's just draw it out and figure out what the heck's going on. All right, here's my beautiful building here. All right. Got this happy little flag up here. So they want to know how big or how tall is the flag. That's it. All right. Suppose you're the observer over here. Just hanging out. You're 500 feet away from the building, the base. So from here to here, 500. And you look elevation and you look up to the top of the building. So from here to here, the angle would be 24. Then you look at the top of the flag, which would be 27. Does that make sense? So far, is that visual from the paragraph make sense to you? Okay. The hardest part is trying to figure out what the heck they're talking about. Like when I used to do these in class, I have to read them multiple times to figure out what is going on. Okay, sometimes I don't see it. So read it many times if you don't see it. So at this point, I need to find that flagpole, that height. So what you're going to do let's call this, from here to the bottom, the total. Let's call it capital T. And we'll call the building height B. So just the building B, the total capital T. Okay. So do you agree that tangent of 27 degrees is equal to capital T, opposite side, right? Over 500. So we basically the triangle we're looking at is this triangle here. That makes sense? So capital T over 500. Solving this will give you capital T, the total height. So capital T will equal, let's skip the algebra because we're low on time here, tan of 27. In your calculator, 500 feet times tan 27 is roughly 254.76 feet. Yes, thank you. So now we have the total. So now find the building and you can just subtract the two and you'll have the flag left over. See where we're going with it? So 10 of 24 is equal to B over 500. So that means that B is equal to 500 feet. Feet times tangent of 24. So that is approximately 221.61. Okay. So I have the height of the building and the height of the building plus the flag. Subtract the two and you got the flag. So the flag will equal T minus B, which is 254.76 feet minus 222.61 feet, which is 32.15 feet. It seems reasonable for a flag. Any questions on number 4? Let me take roll real quick and then you can head out. Unless you have questions. Sadie?
Here.
Jadelyn? No? Ava, Barry? Andre? Zoe? Aaron? Michael? Alexandra? Juan Mendoza? Juliana? Epifania? Andrea? Kimberly? Diego? Teresa? Hunter? Angelica? No, Angelica, okay. Connor? All right. All right, guys, I'll see you Wednesday. If you have any questions, feel free to stick around for a bit. My mouse. Yes.